getting out of athletics and having that transition once college was over, that was really hard for me. That was, it's something, it's really hard because I had put so much of my identity in being an athlete that it was like all of a sudden it was over.
I just gotta get it, I just gotta get it, I just gotta go. I just gotta flip it, watch the money grow. So a little mama, drop it down to the floor. After one night, she gon' be begging for more.
Welcome back, everyone, to another Dear Radio segment. We got a great story time segment today. We're in a beautiful facility and on a lovely day with our dear friend Jessica, CEO of Jack Nutrition. How are you?
Stellar, how are you?
Stellar. Hey, we've been here for a while, technical difficulties, so we're just glad to finally get everything set up and ready to hear your story and all about your business.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
Jeez, these fist bumps. Yeah, sure, buddy. It's good to see you
all
too.
Around.
So, I don't know if you want to lead it. I'll go ahead and lead it.
I
got a bunch of stuff that I want to pick your brain about. I know we kind of already talked beforehand a little bit while they were getting everything set up. But just kind of tell us your story, a little bit about you, how you got started into nutrition, fitness, and everything in that world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try and keep it concise because I can talk for a while.
Yeah.
And when you live aligned, like you find out that it wasn't like just one moment. It's like moments that have led up that like just little things, even in my past. So really my story started when I was 16. That got me kind of into nutrition. So when I was 16, found out I was hypoglycemic. So I just have trouble regulating my blood sugar. But of course, being a 3-sport athlete, it was like my life was changed all of a sudden.
What all sports did you play?
So I played softball, and then I also played competitively in college.
Oh, nice.
And then I did play volleyball, and then I played basketball up until my freshman year.
Gotcha.
Which one did you realize, like, I gotta drop right now?
Basketball. Yeah. I was so bad. Like, I was really good defensive player.
Okay.
Decent at shooting, not the best. And my dad kind of was like, hey, what do you want to do? What are you leaning towards?
Yeah.
Because they played winter softball. So they had an indoor facility where I could play softball in the winter. And he's like, what do you really think you want to do? And I was like, well, I really like softball.
There you go.
And he's like, well, what would you give up? I was like, probably basketball. He goes, good, because you're not good. But at the same time, it allowed me to focus a lot more on softball. And then I loved playing volleyball too, so that kept me active during the fall. I advocated to try and play golf at the same season, but they wouldn't let me. So
Yeah. Golf's an interesting sport. I know Michael was talking about it yesterday when I was over at his place, and he was like, "You play golf?" And I was like, "I need to get clubs first before I even think about golfing."
It's an amazing sport.
Yeah.
Amazing sport.
It's a good sport.
Yep.
But
mental. Yes. A lot of mental
How
toughness.
often do you have? What's the last time you played golf?
Oh, I haven't played in a long
Long
time.
time?
Not since I've started business, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to live by, on Tate's Creek, so there's that little like walking par 3. I used to head over there
I didn't
every
know
once in
it
a
was there.
while. It's
Yeah.
behind the school. I don't really even know what it's
okay,
called.
okay.
That's how great of a relationship I had with
golfing.
with golfing. But, I could hit, so it was kind of natural. I could drive the ball pretty well.
There you go.
Mid-game was probably my biggest struggle, and then I could putt well. So it was like, hey, also during that time, like lots of girls were getting scholarships, and so it was kind of like you could drive the ball like over 150 yards, like you're going somewhere. So, and it was fun, but they wouldn't let me. So they're like, no, you have to play one sport.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you can't overachieve.
You just gotta stick to your one sport and go with it.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's fire.
So where'd you play collegiately?
I played at Grace College.
Okay,
Shout out.
Where's that at?
That's in Winona Lake, Indiana. So it's a small NAIA school. But I got to start as a freshman. So
Nice.
that was the game changer. That was
Right.
the deal breaker for me. I knew that like at the time they had taken softball out of like the Olympics. So I was like, okay, well there's that kind of dream. So I was like, well, I want to play as much softball as I can. So I could start as a freshman. I got a late recruiting call during my senior season.
Right.
And went to the campus, and they're like, we don't even have a catcher. Like, she tore ACL doing like a skating accident or something like that. And they're like, we need a catcher. So, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I made the choice to play college ball because I knew if I didn't, I would have regretted it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like intramurals wouldn't have done it for me.
Yeah,
for
no.
sure. Definitely not. Definitely not. And even, you know, getting out of athletics and having that transition once college was over, that was really hard for me. So that was, you know, it's something, it's really hard because I had put so much of my identity in being an athlete that it was like all of a sudden it was over. It's like the same thing that people go through like when they come back from like military service or like even getting out of prison, like in the Shawshank Redemption. By the way, that's in my hometown, the prison is,
Really?
by the way. So we'll just throw that nugget in there, the little Easter egg. But you know, it's kind of like that. It's like you get so used to what you're supposed to do, like when you're supposed to do it. You know, I was team captain, so it was just like, you know, you have this respect, and then all of a sudden it's like you leave, and it's like, hey, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
And that was not so much that no one knows who you are, it was just the regiment of it. And like knowing I had, you know, I was a catcher, so I had 2 practices a day. So we had pitchers and catchers, and then we also had regular practice on top of that, plus we weight train outside of that. So it was like all of that routine really was good for me.
Yeah.
And so then just all of a sudden you have this like freedom did not feel like freedom to me at all. It was like slow bondage.
Is your transition like that? Like when you was doing UK? Like
My
meaning when you're coaching and helping physical therapy.
Athletic trainer?
Athletic trainer.
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
I was about to say physical therapy. That's a whole different thing.
Whole different regimen.
But when you were athletes and they're on that version, either like trying to go pro or they're at the end of college and they're not going pro, like, and you are with the ones that don't go pro. Do you walk them through a transition? Like, do they talk to you like when it just like you taping them or something like that? Do that mindset ever just blur out to them because you build a relationship with them as well? Like, I don't know what I want to do.
So it's funny because it's like I was going to add on to your point of just like going through my whole kinesiology degrees, like I think we learn about in sports psych is, hey, it's these athletes develop this sport identity that once everything's said and done, they kind of lose themselves almost a little bit. So it's funny in the aspect of when I was talking to my athletes at UK or at South Florida, wherever I've been, of just like if you're not gonna go pro, you're gonna feel like your life's totally different and weird. And they're like, right. And then they graduate and they're like, I have so much time, I don't know what to do. Like I feel like they feel like they're missing a piece of themselves until they go into their business degree or their full-time job, and even then, it's like, all right, I work a 9 to 5, but I'm used to traveling or going to practice or a morning lift, and they have to figure out, oh, okay, I actually have to get up at 6 a.m. or whenever I want to go lift on my own. Oh, okay, I actually have to make my own meals. I have to do this, I have to do that on top of my job, until they kind of finally realize, okay, like sports is gone, but I can still go join like intramurals or anything like that. So to answer your question, like I don't necessarily help guide them like when I was there, but I would give them advice of like, hey, like just make sure you keep doing this or think about this whenever you leave. Whether you go pro, you're done playing pro ball. Like I know a couple girls who are done playing professional soccer, and even now they're like, it's weird. Like now I have to actually go get a real job.
Yeah, absolutely.
The real world.
Yeah, the real world.
Absolutely.
It's quick.
Real world is tough.
It's quick.
Yeah, and you develop so many skills, you know, like a lot of the skills that I have, like as an entrepreneur, came from being an athlete. Visualization, like practicing visualization, utilizing your imagination for good versus like what could go wrong. Like, you know, you're putting yourself in game scenarios, right? But then you can easily translate that to life. Getting prepared for life, which also translates to meal prep, because prepping ain't easy. Let's just be honest.
100%.
You know, but at the same time, like there's so many skills that as an athlete that then when you're not practicing that often, it's just like a muscle. Like you lose it or you feel lost. But that's a really important lesson. That was a really important journey to go through because that led me to, you know, what I do now. But it's like, I had to go through that because I also learned later in life, like you can't put your identity necessarily in one thing. It's okay to pursue something aggressively and know how it looks, but when you put your identity in things as like I'm a performer or those types of things, it's really difficult because then your success is based on what other people think of you. And that's like not a good base. That's not a solid foundation. And I found too that like through me being an athlete and then that just being gone, like the routines were gone, the camaraderie was gone. and people kind of scattered, and then life looks a little different.
Yeah.
But that's an important journey to go through.
Agreed.
And I'm so thankful for that journey, because it helped me when like tough roads came down later down the way. Because when they did, then it was like, okay, well, I could find a different path.
Right.
And I've been through this before. I call that leaving breadcrumbs of confidence. Like when you go through things or you do things consistently, we talk about that a lot in nutrition.
Yeah.
You leave, when you show up and you keep the promises you made to yourself, you leave breadcrumbs of confidence. So when trouble strikes and you're down, you're like, hey, but I made it through here. And I made it through here. And you have that evidence that's built up over time. So you're not lost. Okay, you know exactly where you are. You have all of these footprints or breadcrumbs, if you will, that you follow, and you can get right back on track.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's interesting. No, I mean, I find it interesting because like, you played sports in high school, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I didn't go to college and play obviously any pro sports. However, like leading into like after I graduated or just anything competitive, I can obviously relate to whatever sport I've been to, and I was like, well, I got to figure out a competitive advantage to figure out how to get to this next phase of whatever it's going through. Where I'm trying to graduate college, and I want to compete against like whatever my classmates are doing because we want to graduate on time. Or now we're doing business and just trying to figure out, okay, well, this is the landscape of podcasting. How do we get to the next level? And it's like a camaraderie of like we have to figure out those competitive advantage, preparing the same things that you do in sport, but trying to figure out what you do in business. And it's cool because you find out a lot of people that are doing successful businesses don't always ever play a sport.
Yeah.
So like when they have tough times, they kind of collapse a little more, opposed to like those that done other things that they've been struggling through. To when they get here, it's like any hardship, it doesn't feel too hard because they've already went through all the hardship before. So it's like you just gotta find a new version of what this is and continue to roll into it. So it's always been interesting for me just to look at the landscape of that.
Yeah.
For when people, I see like even Ryan, I think it's Ryan Coogler, the Black Panther and the director for that, I believe. Is he a director or writer? I could be wrong. Double check me on that. But I believe he was saying like I'm winning so much now from Fruitvale Station when he started, I think 22 or 23 with Michael B. Jordan, to like all the new movies he did with Michael B. Jordan, just because he played football. He's like, that's just a correlation of like nobody in the office works harder than me because I've had this sport behind me, so it continues to push and drive me more than anybody else, and I don't feel tired at all. Like it's hard, but like I've been through hard before compared to what these guys in the boardrooms and stuff like that have been through. So like it's always cool to like just to look at those things and see what engines everybody have.
Yeah.
But moving into that, right? Like how did that segue after college, after sportsmanship into I had to figure out what I'm about to do, and then it moves into nutrition. Like what did you look at when you were playing the sport of like what you're eating, what you're dieting? Was that like a performance thing you was thinking of, and then did it translate over easily, or you was like, well, something here needs to get changed for me to actually evolve, and that's where it kind of took blossom?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in a situation where I was passing out almost weekly.
Interesting.
Like in school, like if I couldn't get my locker combination done in time and then I was late, and I kind of like, just have regular anxiety.
Yeah.
But what would happen with my hypoglycemia is that my body would run through, I have high adrenaline,
Yeah.
and then, your body is like in a fight or flight at that point. So it's burning through the insulin because I can't regulate that.
Okay.
So it like burns through insulin. So the difference, like a diabetic would like not be able, their body doesn't produce insulin. My body produces it and it runs through it really quickly. So it's just goes through all of its stores and then it bottoms out.
Okay.
So like I would be in sport and then I wasn't fueled right. And I remember like the summer before really finding out I was hypoglycemic that I was like shaking. And I was playing summer ball and my dad's like talking to me, like giving me the pre-game pep talk, like, hey, you gotta watch the rise ball, like, all of these things, that dads are good at doing. And I was shaking and he's like, are you like nervous? You scared? And I'm like, no, this is what I do. And my mom was like, you just have low blood sugar, but she was right. She's like, you just need to eat a little bit more before your game. So she was like making me eat like bowls of Jell-O before the game. Not recommended. Definitely not recommended. So that was actually probably somewhat contributing to then during one volleyball season, I had a referee take me out of a game, and he was like, hey, she's got to get off the court. And I'm like, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like, we were in the middle of a match. Right. And he looked at my coach and she's like, what are you talking about? You can't take my player off the court. He goes, she's about to pass out. My brother's a diabetic. She's pale. And I'm like, I'm fine. I was like, I'm fine, looking at the coach.
Yeah.
And it was like that next practice. We had a practice and we were doing a drill. And so we were doing our spike approach, blocking, getting off. So it was like a, kind of like a jumping, very, very, like a sprint, basically. And then I was like, oh, I feel kind of woozy. And I'm like, wait. And my coach says, what? And then I passed out. And then we went and got, tests done, found out I was hypoglycemic. So that was like my wake up call to, oh, hey, your body doesn't work the same as everyone else's.
And that's in college, or is that in high school?
This was in high school.
Okay, so
this was in high school, yeah. So I struggled to get my blood sugar regulated and find out what it is that I need to do, because no one in my family has hypoglycemia or blood sugar issues. So they're just like, we don't know what to do. I got put on 1,000-calorie diets. That's not going to work for a 3-sport athlete.
Right.
I'm burning more, and I was losing a ton of weight, which at the time I didn't want to do.
Right.
So, I was like, something's wrong. This isn't working. And what we kind of found out was like, hey, the doctors were like, if you don't get this worked out, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go into medicine. And I was like, I don't want to live my life that way. I was like, okay, I went to the doctors. And I'm not saying that going to the doctors is bad, but I just wasn't given something that fit my lifestyle as a 16-year-old athlete.
Yeah.
I was given someone who's sedentary and probably 70 years old, like, you know what I mean? So it was like, this didn't work for me. So I started doing my own research, started kind of experimenting just myself, like meal timing. So I eat smaller meals. I'd have a protein, like if I had carbs, I'd have like a larger amount of protein. So I was already experimenting with like higher protein. I pretty much got to the place where I started just cooking my own food. I couldn't eat what my friends ate, couldn't eat what everyone else. So all the things that folks go through on a nutrition journey, I was going through at 16 and figuring it out kind of on my own.
Wow.
So because I wanted to play,
Right.
and I wanted to play well. And like being a catcher especially, like you're the commander. Like, and if you are passing out because you're not able to perform, then I wasn't a reliable player.
Yeah.
And and I had dreams of playing in college, so I was like, okay, I need to get this figured out, because it's not a good reputation to be the kid that's in the ambulance. When it's coming, they're like, they're probably going after Jess, aren't they? Like, that was not a reputation I really enjoyed or wanted. So being able to get that figured out was really, really crucial. So I started with meal timing. And then, of course, I went through college and kind of refined that more. But then it was after college when I kind of struggled, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I have a competitive need. Like, what is it? I just feel lost. So that's when I got into bodybuilding. And so I started preparing for competitive bodybuilding, completely transformed my physique. And it wasn't that I was out of shape. It was just like, I had to go under what we call body recomposition, which means like you're putting on muscle and you're leaning out. So you're losing body fat instead of like a weight loss journey, because in a weight loss journey, you could lose muscle mass and you're losing weight, right? So, I went under a whole body recomp because of learning macronutrients. And that's what really was the game changer for me. Now, I was just doing this just to be competitive, but then I saw my body changing. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the body that I wanted when I was working out 3 practices. Like, what's the difference, and just being observant and looking at patterns. That's really when my nutrition started when I was the girl that was passing out.
Right.
But then leading up to getting into owning a business in nutrition, being a certified nutrition coach, certified personal trainer, I was like, oh my gosh, I could make this fit whatever goal I had, whatever, like if I wanted to change my macronutrients to fit me running a marathon, I could do that. I was like, that's what everybody wants. They want a diet that works for them, because it's never one size fits all.
That's true.
Correct.
So you could be eating the exact same thing I am. You could be eating the exact same thing I am. And we could have the same thing on our plate, same ounces, everything else. We'd look like completely different people.
Right.
So it's never a one size fits all scenario. And I was like, okay, this is the key, right? So then that's what really got me into that. Now, I worked in the corporate world. I was a teacher. That's what I originally went to school for, was a teacher, lived in South America for a little while. That was fun. And realized teaching wasn't for me. Moved to Lexington, got into the corporate world, and it was busy. and it was super busy. So, you know, you're in 7 to 7, plus I was training for, you know, competitions, prepping my own meals. And I had been prepping, you know, all my meals, and I just didn't like bland chicken and rice and broccoli. So I make fun stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, I can make a macro-friendly, you know, enchilada. Like, let's like use a mandolin, make, you know, do zucchini, and then we're gonna make some chicken, and we're gonna do a low-carb enchilada for low-carb day that I had. You know, so
you're still creative. In
Oh,
how
yeah.
you're eating, no matter what, as long as you're hitting your
Yes.
macros and as long as you're tracking things.
Absolutely,
What do you
100%.
find the easiest way to track when you're trying to go through a weight gain or weight loss journey? I know a lot of people may try to do these things, but they may not have the best structure of how they want to track all of their, you know, supplements, nutrients, macros, and everything they need to do to either hit that goal at any means at that point. Because I know I went through mine, but, you know, I'm thankful Jim Blue. You know,
Yes.
they've definitely put me on like First Form and things I can use to track, as well as just continuing to use any different thing. Obviously, 75 Hard allows you to do a lot of different things on that app as well. So, but just in general, for people that if you've seen, have you spoken to that needs that help with like, how do I track this? I'm doing things, but I feel like I'm not going nowhere because probably tracking is probably off.
Yeah, 100%. So you have to look at what the goals are.
Yeah.
What the output is going to be. So like, am I talking to a professional athlete, you know, who has like their dreams are dependent on this, or someone who wants to step on stage and that's their dream? Like, you know what I mean? What is your commitment level? And so I was like, there's always layers. So it's like good, better, best.
Okay.
Sometimes folks are like looking to just eat healthier and change their habits. So we're starting small, like we're starting on a different level. We're tracking maybe protein, but to go all in macros and completely change, that's like just
rewiring.
like, you know, that's crazy. That's like too much change at once. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's why sustainability is one of our pillars of nutrition here at Jacked, because to make a change, if you have it so large, like we're changing, I change more. I help folks transform their mindset along with their habits and behaviors more than I sit and talk macros, fats, protein, that type of thing.
Why do you find that's necessary first?
Because it's deeply personal, what we put into our bodies.
Yep.
We, as adults, that's what we choose. And consumption now, today, goes beyond food. It's your thoughts, it's media, it's so many more things that we allow. It's even just like the energy that we allow in our space, or the people that we allow in our space. So consumption actually goes down, and it is bigger. It's a bigger well to go into that we're digging. So, you know, it's deeply personal. And a lot of folks' habits, they find out, we do a practice we call notice and name, which is where like you notice and name patterns. Like, okay, if it's gonna be after 10:30, I'm wanting Taco Bell. And when you can notice and notice that behavior and realize, hey, this is where I'm falling short, or this is why I'm like not getting the results that I want to. But then we spin that and like, okay, how do you do that without being judgmental, without going down a self-sabotage loop? How do we be productive with how observant we are about ourselves? And that goes into play with also like, we're like hitting umbrellas. But then that's like the bigger picture of letting someone be a part of their journey versus telling them like, here's your PDF of your macros, go and follow the instructions and, you know, check in with me once a week. Because folks have patterns and habits that are reasons why they're doing what they're doing.
Correct.
And usually there's like this loop that folks go on with a nutrition journey where they're like, all right, I'm fed up, I'm ready to go. And so then they're like super, super strict. And then something happens that's like not perfect. They go to a party or something they didn't plan. And then because of that one day, that all or nothing mindset, they're like, okay, well, I missed that one day, so I'm gonna turn it into a weekend. And then they kind of just go down this self-sabotage loop until they're sick of themselves to that point again. And then it's like, I'm so sick, I'm gonna start over again. And it's just a cycle. And so how do we get folks off of that hamster wheel? Well, you have to tell them first and foremost that they're not broken and that they need to be a part of their journey. And when you start having them be a part of it and engaging in it, then it becomes an empowerment piece at that point. But I don't even remember what the original question was. But tracking, I think, like what do you use to track? Like I use the First Form app. I think it's one of the best because I can put my Jack Nutrition meals in there.
Yeah.
And it's very accurate. But like at the time when I was like initially tracking, like the only thing that was out there was like MyFitnessPal,
Yeah.
you know, and then we started finding out that like, you know, Aunt Sally was adding her like grilled chicken that had ranch on it. And then it was like, she put it under grilled chicken. And then it was like, why does this chicken breast have carbs in it? I'm confused. So like it's a large database. So then you it's like kind of what you choose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's about awareness at the end of the day. And our ancestors, our great grandparents didn't have to do that because they didn't have as many options. So now we have a responsibility to know what it is. And there's so many options out there that like if you don't know, that's why we have to track these days. It's just like being responsible, like Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. We don't have to worry about food scarcity. You can go to the gas station and get food. You know, that used to not be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you get some boiled peanuts somewhere, but you know, now you go to the gas station, they have like
Yeah, you got like
full-blown-
Casey's with like pizza, breakfast burritos,
sushi,
burgers,
like-
sushi. Yeah, it's just nuts.
And so that abundance of choices like makes it overwhelming. And so, you know, anymore, I think tracking is just responsible. And especially if you have a health journey, but like, it depends on what your goals are.
Right.
And like that level is like, hey, do I want good? Do I want better? Do I want best?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, hey, swapping out your candy bar for like a protein shake, like that's good, right? What's better? Okay, like let's maybe track that protein amount. What's best? All right, I want you doing like grass-fed, grass-finished beef. You know, so it's like there's layers to these types of things, and transformation doesn't happen. You have to really get to the root cause of things, and a lot of times the root causes are in those habits, behaviors, and beliefs.
Right.
100%.
Right.
So you kind of learned about your nutrition early on because you were like hypoglycemic at 16.
Yeah.
So I've worked we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but working in the collegiate scene, I've seen so many, primarily girls, and just various sports at various different schools, to keep it anonymous, of where like I've had to call 911 for a girl who completely passed out.
Yeah.
I've had to take people out of sports because they were so underweight. What do you think is the biggest, not issue, but why do you think in collegiate athletes and now like high school athletes developing eating disorders is like the biggest thing to where it just doesn't click that they need to eat more or actually take their nutrition a lot more seriously with everything that's going on in each individual's past? Like what I've said is I've had girls, but also a lot of guys have eating disorders that they don't even know about.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint because it's a case by case, especially when you get into eating disorders and those types of disordered eating. There could be trauma attached to that. So there's like, that's a lot to unpack. But I think a lot of where we see it is just the lack of the mindset of I'm fueling to perform. I mean, even when we were kids, you know, like after we were done playing sport, what were we doing? We're getting Capri Suns and Star Crunches. And it's like, that's what we're fueling athletes. And so we think that doesn't make a big difference, but it's the mindset behind
I
it.
didn't even
So
think
then
about that.
you like get to a point where you're just eating to eat. You're not eating to fuel, and not all food is fuel for what you need, right? I mean, how would I, you know, and it's always interesting to bring that up, like, you know, I've always wondered, why was I hypoglycemic when no one in my family is like even diabetic? Like, why me? Like, you know, but when we get into that, I'm like, well, you know, the food landscape has changed, and also the pressures that athletes go under change significantly, especially like being a female. There is a lot based on, you know, hey, like if you are a bigger athlete, you're getting called out compared to athletes that look a certain way, right? And then we start getting into like control issues there, or even, you know, even guys like wanting to be bigger, wanting to put on more size, and you know, exploring with how do I put on more size? What do I need to do? And so like there's so many influences coming in, and all of that starts when we're this big.
Yeah.
You know, and like what is happening with like the food at home and those types of things when they're not in our control, right? You know?
How much of a role do you think social media has to play in that? Whether it's positively or negatively? Probably on the negative side than anything.
I mean, it's just like, you have to understand, like, I don't know what it was. There's like a movie, it's like a kid movie shoot, it's the one with all the emotions.
Is it the Emoji Movie? Is that
Not
what
the Emoji Movie, but it's the one with like all the emotions are the characters. There's a scene where like they knock all this stuff off and they're like characters in the girl's subconscious. And they're like, oh, all these facts and opinions just spilled everywhere. And they're like, oh, just put them all together because, we don't know the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what you see in the world. It's like everyone, like it's great. You have like a lot of folks like yourselves like that have a platform that want to reach people, that want to put good things out there. Yeah. But then at the same time, that's open for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, what's a fact and what's an opinion? And what's your experience with that? And like knowledge without mileage is just complete bullshit.
Yeah.
So like if you have one or the other, it can be good, but then you're missing those, but those two together are great. Sometimes you have folks that have the experience, but then lack the knowledge. So then it's like, this doesn't scientifically, like, this doesn't line up. You have to be able to use things, like use discernment. And I think what I don't like is that folks want to be told what to do when it comes to nutrition instead of figuring it out for what works for them.
It's convenient and it's uncomfortable. Whenever we're faced with uncomfortability, it's always a struggle to like get over that hump. Because like you said, the root cause is that hurdle of like, okay, what is it? And do I really want to go figure out what it is?
Yeah.
Will I like the answer that I'm about to find? And if I'm not, like, do I really want to change? And at the end of the day, it's like, you might not just want it that bad. Like, some people want a six-pack, but they really don't want a six-pack. Like,
Or on the other side is like what you said is they look at a video and they're like, this is what I want to hear. Let me find a video that I actually want to hear that correlates to what my thoughts and beliefs are.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And it's also one of those things, like you said, like once you start digging that root, like, do you want to find what's on the end? And that's personal. That's ownership.
That's
that's taking ownership, and that's maturing.
Yeah.
16-year-olds not ready to do that.
Right.
They're like looking to run with their friends, and those types of things are important to them.
Yeah.
So like sitting there and talking about like, hey, do you really want to look yourself in the mirror and like own this up? And the thing with being hypoglycemic at that age and having, I guess, what somewhat would be a health scare, because when it was happening so much, was like passing out multiple times, like it was taking me days to rebound.
Yeah.
You're talking about your system like not having a crucial element, so then you're just like, you're just kind of discombobulated. So then that wasn't helping me either. That wasn't helping me in sport, and that wasn't helping me in school either. And so it's like, I had to grow up a little bit because of that situation. And I had to learn, like, you don't get to do what everyone else does, but that's okay because you have a dream. And they're not gonna understand that. And they're gonna be like, why don't you eat pizza? Like, why don't you just come out pizza with us? Like, I can eat a piece of pizza. I was like, but I'm gonna have some like protein with it. I'm gonna probably bring some chicken with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I had to learn, like, I wanna perform, I have a dream, I have a goal. And not everyone understood that.
Right.
Even in college, it was the same thing. Like, I'm like, look, I want to find something healthy. I can't eat here. Like, I'm going to have to find something. I'm going to order 4 snack wraps and just eat the chicken out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I was willing to do what it took, like, and be different.
Yeah.
And believe more in the end game than like in realizing, hey, whatever it takes for me to get there, because it feels bad. Like I feel terrible if I don't eat right. And then I got like a triple header that I gotta catch. Like, you're kidding me?
Yeah.
But then that translates so much later in life. And that's what also helps me as a coach. Like having a service, understanding where folks are at.
Yeah.
Because I was like there.
Yeah.
I understand. So like I said, that knowledge and mileage is important to have both.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Talk about coaching a little bit. Do you coach over at Gym Blue or anywhere else, or just what do you do?
So I just coach clients one-on-one when I have the availability, obviously running a full-time business, and also like I have staff. So, I'm looking at pouring into that staff as well. And that's really important to me.
Yeah.
So like I'm a coach in multiple ways. So like I coach the team here in just like, hey, what does it look like to pour your energy into something? What does it look like to build a career? Those types of things. Like, what stepping stone is this? Like, what goal is it that you have next? So there's coaching involved there. But then there's also coaching on the level of as a nutrition coach.
Yeah.
So I'm through Precision Nutrition, I'm a level 2 master coach, which is just, more titles than you have at the DMV, right? But it's a matter of like, I do have the certifications. I did go through the schooling, and what I love so much about Precision was talking about those things, the behaviors, the habits, and the mindset behind things. That's where the coaching aspect comes from.
It's a huge aspect.
Yep. And I think my most favorite thing is I just put my mom through like a 12 weeks. We kind of went through some lifestyle change. She wasn't sleeping. She's postmenopausal, having brain fog, like doesn't feel confident in her body. And then was like, but they say that this is just what it is. And I'm like, no, we don't accept that.
Yeah.
And so she lost 10 pounds. Sleeping, feels amazing. And so like when I can return that to the person that gave me life, game over.
Yeah.
Like you can't replace that moment.
There's
like
no better feeling.
And now she's like the concept to her of even just going to the store and eating whole foods was just crazy. She was eating more food on like the plan that I gave her, and I even gave her flexibility. And now like she came down to help me out with the farmer's market like last week, and she's making so many different choices, and I'm so proud of that lifestyle change. But that's what it's about. It's about lifestyle change. The physique thing is great and it's awesome, and it's something that's a motivating factor.
Right.
But like she's 62.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she knows she's not like gonna like go out and like want to go on Sports Illustrated. You know what I mean? Like she knows that, but at the same time, she wants to be healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And she wants to feel good in who she is. That's a different type of win, and that's a different type of beautiful. When you can know in all your decisions, you're going to the grocery store and you feel confident in the choices you're making, in like the fuel that you're putting in your body. And you know what I noticed too? She started taking in a lot less like bullshit from the outside into her mind. A lot less excuses, a lot less like this is the way it is, and it's because she gained confidence. And like that's what nutrition can do. Nutrition is the like one of the biggest success like hacks, not just like as far as ROI and getting your time back and then also feeling confident, but just in who you become through that process, because you're the only person who's feeding this, who's feeding this, and who's feeding this.
Yep. I mean, it's like what you said. It's yeah, sure. Some of the physique stuff is going to come with it, but just developing those great positive habits with just your nutrition can lead to great habits in work, great habits with social hours, whatever it is, whatever great habits you want to develop. It turns you into a better person mentally, physically, and spiritually, or whatever else you want to throw under that umbrella as well.
Absolutely, it's a journey. It's an adventure. And it's like, just like you would go out. I'm a big hiker, so I really love adventure and those types of things. It's the same thing. Like you have to learn what tools you have and what tools you don't have and what skills you need to learn in order to survive scenarios, in order to prepare and be prepared. Because you never know, like you go out in Mother Nature and there's no telling what would happen.
Especially in Kentucky.
Facts. And it was like lightning earlier and
it was
thundering when
lightning,
y'all
now it's
rolled
all
in,
sunny
and now
and
it's like,
clear and-
hey, what's up?
Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Yeah.
But so going from the coaching aspect and everything with that, talk a little bit about your business with Jack Nutrition, how that got started, and how is it going right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, I was in the corporate world. So it was like the day before my 2-year anniversary, and it was super competitive. It was just like a very competitive field, right? I was willing to learn, but also it wasn't me. I was slowly dying, but I never would have quit.
Yeah.
Like the canyon between who I wanted to be and where I was like so large, but I never would have quit, and I would have kept going and stayed in that level for me. So the day before my 2 years, I got fired. And so that's what we call the rear view mirror talk. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser. Like I was like sobbing. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to tell my family? Like this was like my first career outside of teaching,
Right.
like, and then I was like, wait a minute, I could be whatever I want to be. And I was like, I could sit here and I could cry and I could misuse my imagination to create terrible scenarios in my head.
Right.
But it takes the same amount of energy to create something good.
Right.
So like at that point in time, I was like really kind of thinking about what I wanted to do. I had already been prepping meals before I left, like before I was fired. So I was prepping meals, and like I had been like walked through the, I had like blackened salmon, and some of the people were like, oh my gosh, like what is that?
Yeah.
Like where'd you buy that? And I'm like, no, I make this. And they're like, what? I'd pay for you to make that for me. I was like, I mean, it's hard to cook for 2 people at home. So I was like, I probably have extra, that's really hard to do. So at home, I talked to my husband, and he works in the automotive industry, like as an engineer.
Okay.
So he's like a boots on the ground type of guy. And I'm like, hey, like people want to buy our food. Can you believe that? And he's like, And I'm like, what'd you do? And he's like, well, I've been selling your meals for like the past like 2 months. And I'm like, what? I was like, I thought you were just like, you get married and like people eat. Like that's what I thought was going on. Well, he was, of course, has his own testimony. So he grew up in like the foster care system, very, very, very poor. And, had like some health scares at like a young age too,
Yeah.
started eating healthier. He's the one who kind of got me into bodybuilding because he was bodybuilding. And when I met him, he had like this plate and this scale. And I'm like, this guy's either nuts or he knows what he's doing. Like, I'm not sure. I think a little bit of both. But, and so he had gone through a health journey himself. And he had been selling meals. He's going into Toyota, and like folks are working 12-hour shifts, eating peanut butter crackers and Mountain Dew,
Yeah,
and then going home and coaching their
that's
kids
true.
like Little League. And like, no wonder they snapped, because like they don't have the energy to do what they want to do, and then also like they want to feel good when they're doing these things, and they like go home like snap at the kids or whatever, they're tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, so this is a thing, and he's like, this is a thing. And so
Around what year is this?
this was probably 2017,
Okay.
2018,
Not too far
around
off,
that
yeah.
time. So then we started, so I lost my job. I like put a feelers out there. I got some gig like doing like insurance, but every time I went to go cold call, I'd talk about Jacked.
Yeah.
I'd talk about nutrition. So I was like, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. But we were at the time doing Jacked kind of as a side hustle.
Yeah.
We were just prepping for friends. And I really enjoyed it, and we were doing quite a bit. And we just started what we call the beta program. So it was like, hey, like let's just test the market, let's see. So like everyone who ordered meals from us like signed a waiver, because it was like we were cooking out of our apartment,
Yeah.
just for friends. So it was like for friends and family. Well, then the friends of the friends started asking, and I'm like, oh snap, this is getting a lot bigger than what I thought it was. And also like I'd have like set up tables, like pull out tables, card tables, and prep on Sunday for
Oh, wow.
like tons of people, like in my 2-bedroom
That's
apartment.
amazing.
And so I was like, okay, I was like, well, what does this look like for us to do this full time? My husband was like, hey, like you need to like hit this number. I don't even remember what the number was. I should for moments like this. It was like a lot more orders than what I was. It was like 200
Really?
and some more meals. That next week we hit that. And I was like, well, if that's not the universe, then I don't know what else. So he's like, yeah, if we hit this number of meals, you can do this full time. So then we contacted Les May over here at the incubator. And in 2019, we opened up Jack Nutrition LLC. And I'm the owner. And of course, without Alan, he's the tech guy. So, but he has a full-time job. So I'm a solopreneur, I guess. I'm a women business owner. Yay, go me.
No, congrats on that.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the biggest thing for me has been the community and fueling people's missions. That's our mission.
I love
Because
that.
we want to help folks live their mission
Right.
without sacrificing nutrition. And so without people having goals, like we don't have a business. And I think that's what makes us so special, is it's like, hey, not like we do this. It's, look, what do you do?
Yeah.
Because we want to fuel that. And that's our mission. And that's what really gets me stoked when it comes down to it. So of course, having this experience, being the 16-year-old passing out all the time, not knowing like you know, what I needed to in order to be a performer and to live my mission, and to like learning all to do that, to now to helping other folks do that, like that, I can't change that experience in life or anything. I'm so aligned with what I was supposed to do. But if you would have asked me if this is what I was going to do when I was 16,
Of course.
I would never have.
Yeah.
I would have never have thought this. A meal prep company wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, but all of those paths and avenues, like from that time. So when people were like, tell me your story, I was like, oh, well, to be honest, like it started like a long time ago. And like, that's what happens when you live aligned, though. You find those like sparks in your life that led you to this moment. And I think that's what really is like a big part of the energy behind what we do. We're big energy people here, especially when it comes to food. So it's like, I don't just like, you give me money, I give you food. Like it's an energy exchange. So that's why we have core values here of like extreme ownership, you know, practicing gratitude, those types of things, leading by example, being willing to go first. Like those are all important things. And that translates into the food. So I'm a big energy person. You know, so when folks are buying meals from us, like there are conversations happening. What is this meal going for?
Yeah.
Like what are you trying to do? What is your goal? What is your mission? And building a community around that, I think has been probably one of the greatest things I like ever could have done with my life. From going to like crying, sobbing, be like fired, you know, in the ER for the 3rd time that week, like not really knowing what was like in store for my life, to be able to be here and doing this now, like every day I get to do what I love. It doesn't come without stress. It doesn't come without hardship, but it's a different type. When you live aligned, it's a different type of like, I don't know, it's like an exciting eustress, I guess is what you would more call it, like a eustress type situation. It's like what you get when you work out, like you get those endorphins, like everything is just aligned with that mission. And like if I can encourage like especially young people to find what it is, like don't be afraid of what it looks like or how much or how little you make. It's like one of those things, like you don't get into something that you're so passionate about just for the money, because at the beginning it's going to be a grind. You know, like I think someone asked me like, how many hours a week do you work? And I'm like, well, I don't clock in at 3 a.m. when I get the idea and I get up and I get on my computer. Like, you know, it's I live this. And that's a different type of thing. And I want other people to be able to do that without the food part being something that takes them away from their craft.
That's dope. That's dope. How do you find, like, whenever you got to the point where, like, I need staff, like, when that came about, right? Like, how engaging was the conversation of my core values with them so they can understand the preparation that goes into the meals, that goes into the community, that goes to the people of, hey, this is what we want them to feel when they're actually attaining their goals. So I want to make sure that you actually align, because this is something you choose. This is your lifestyle. This is something we can do together. And how important is just instilling that in anybody that comes around and say, hey, I want to be a part of this because I see myself changing because of your advice, but I also want to see you grow. So I want to help your company, your business, if there's any way possible. Like, so how do you go about doing that in any stages where you all feel like, okay, I need to hire this person or this person at any point?
Yeah, well, I always knew I needed to hire like a chef, because if you're in business, like you should be hiring people that can do a job better than you. I'm good. I'm a good cook. I really am. I can come up with some. Well, I learned how to cook because my dad was in the military, so like he would be gone, you know, for periods at a time, and then like we'd have like shrimp and jalapenos and like lime juice and whatever was in the cupboard. We didn't have like ramen noodles and mac and cheese. And so that's kind of how I just like learned how to cook, like just working with ingredients and just kind of like getting my hands dirty and figuring out, okay, all right. I would say there's a little bit of a natural, just like I know how things are going to taste and what's going to go good together. And my team will look at me like sometimes like, what, Jess? And I'm like, believe me, it's going to be good. Like just, and every time they're like, you have never steered us wrong. But I always knew I needed to hire some more staff. So basically when we started bridging like the gap of like hitting 1,000 meals, like I needed more staff. I was in here sometimes till 3 a.m, like packaging meals. And it was like, okay, all right, I need more hands. And also the biggest thing, that I was like listening to at the time was a lot of like entrepreneurial type podcasts and those types of things. I was a big fan of the MFCEO project, like Andy Frisella at First Form. And the first thing that they said was the hardest part was delegating, was being able to like pass on the power to somebody else.
Yep.
Because they're like, no one can do it like me. No one can do it like me. I was like, well, then I need to learn how to teach people. I need to learn how to recreate those skills in other people. And I also need to learn to be okay when they don't do it right, how to teach them and how to navigate that situation early on. Because that was like the first thing that every entrepreneur was like, I just had the hardest time giving it up. And I wish I would have been able to do it sooner, because when you learn how to delegate, then your business, you can focus on what you're supposed to be doing, which is helping the mission, helping get the word out there. For me, you know, I'm a very marketing minded, I'm a very passionate person. So, you know, that's where like my bread and butter is. So I always knew I was going to have to hire a chef and some culinary staff. Then when it comes down to the core values, you just have to stick by your standard. Our team reads extreme ownership before they get hired here. They have to do that in the first 2 weeks. And everyone gets hired on at the same rate. They get hired on and they have to go through the same thing as the entry level guy. And I think that that teaches you so much humility, especially
definitely.
in the culinary world. You know, culinary world, like working with chefs is like working with artists, but telling them to paint the Mona Lisa in like an hour, you know, especially if they're like on a line, like, you know, just to like open up some doors into the culinary world. Like when you go into like your steakhouses and those types of things where they're cooking and the meal comes out like within 20 minutes. Like I said, like those folks are creating the Mona Lisa in 20 minutes, right? So like, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot. And so, you know, the biggest thing is like, I have to actually teach a lot of folks like how to undo some of their previous like wiring a lot of the times, which I'm geared for. I do that as a coach, you know. But having standards and having core values, and that's what your principles are. That's what you make all decisions on. And also with extreme ownership being our core value, which if you ever, like, huge plug for extreme ownership, listeners, go read that book. It's game changing. But it also really, really changes it to where I have a really great relationship with the staff, because instead of being this hierarchy, like there's a natural hierarchy in places, but like where, okay, she's the boss and we're down here, it's a funnel. So like the mission's here, we're all trying to make this happen. Everything gets filtered through the mission versus everything going to the top to a person, right? So, I mean, I guess you could flip it upside down and say the same thing, but, you know, the principle is good. The funnel's a good visual. It's a good metaphor. But, you know, when it comes down to it, it's like you hold everyone accountable to those standards. And when things aren't to the standard, hey, I care about you. I want you to win, and I want you to win here. So, you know, I love you, but I love me too, and you can't do that here, you know? And sometimes, like, you know, that's just the conversation that it needs to be. And that's it, you know. There's going to be mistakes that happen. I know everything's figure outable. So then I'm less stressed. You know, like sitting here watching y'all with like the technical difficulties with the mics. Like for me, like I just loved observing that, because I was like, everything's going to, like y'all are going to figure this out. You're going to find a way to figure it out. You know, even if we chat GPT it, we're going to figure it out. And I love that, because that's life, that's entrepreneurship, that's teamwork. And that's like, hey, I know we're going to do this. That's grit, fortitude, all the good stuff.
Well, you talk about energy. I could feel his energy getting very negative and trying to figure it out. I was like, oh man, we better figure this out sooner. Something's gonna go wrong here.
It wasn't negative, man.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
It does get interesting, because like you don't know, right? Like when you're doing things that you're passionate about, you know you're going to try to do these things, and you try to do these things, but your mind and what's reality is very duality of different things once they happen in real time. And it's just, sometimes it's like, whoa, hold on. Why is this happening right now? Like, right now? I could have sworn we tested this like yesterday. Now it's right now? Like, this is, so it does go to those things where like you just don't know. And like he said, we've had so many encounters of just doing things that like, it's either it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. We're not going to force it. It's fine. Like if it didn't happen, we understand. We're not going to get mad. We didn't want to waste your time. That's obviously not something, but we would have definitely figured out something to like reschedule or something like that. But like that's never the goal. So we, like you said, watch us figure it out. I'm glad it did turn out well.
It did.
But
Like I
it's-
said, dream team.
I mean, I got amazing guys. You know, shout out DC, shout out TKD2, shout out my guy Branson, shout out CJ. That's obviously here and doing everything for us. Like, I can't do this by myself, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm super grateful to have those guys. We have a shared vision, a shared mission, and it's just continue to give it back to these people that's watching us, that want to hear these stories, that want to go through life changes, wherever they're going through at, you know, whatever stage. And it's just making sure that we can give that value and just be ourselves. You know, I think hopefully that allows them to be like, yeah, I can be myself. If LeBranson and TK and Siege and Michael can do these things, like I can be me and still be grateful and still, you know, thrive. And that's all we want to do. And I think that's why we have these relationships with, you know, people like you and Jim Blue and everybody else that want to welcome their presence of being on our stage. It's just allowing us to do those things. So I do have a question, like more so like where you think you're going in the future? Like how far do you want it? Is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? Do you see that? Or is it like, I think I see maybe 10 more years of this or 15 more years, but I want to, there's something else that's caught my interest as well.
Yeah, so definitely the Growing Jacked is one of the biggest goals.
Yeah.
Making healthy meals more accessible to the community, making it more accessible to, you know, my communities that aren't here. So I have no, like, other than it's me and my husband here, but all my family is like scattered. And this year we were able to test ship some product. I was able to send meals to my niece, nephew, my brother.
Yeah.
So shipping is definitely something that we're looking to be making healthy meals more available that have our standard behind them. And being able to send those meals and see my niece and nephew be able to eat a healthy meal and the family to like sit down at the table and like they didn't take more of their time.
Right.
That was worth every missed birthday party, every missed ball game. Like, you know, those are moments that like, I know what I'm building.
Right.
You know, so it's like, yeah, you do miss out on things, but I know like what I'm building is going to be to benefit them. And so that's what keeps me going, but definitely Growing Jacked is a huge piece. And then also, you know, a big goal for me is I'm always looking to still be an athlete in spirit.
That's cool.
So hopefully looking to compete in High Rocks this year. So I've been training for that. So that's always fun. I always, you know, I mean, I want to do what it is that the folks that I'm serving do. Because if I don't walk that line too, like, I forget what it's like, you know, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
So I go hard. Like, I enjoy my workouts and I enjoy having something physical to shoot for.
Yeah.
That's important to me. But, you know, I think the biggest thing is just like letting folks know that, you know, who they are holds weight.
Yeah.
And showing them that nutrition is a bigger part of the success story in whatever capacity that is, you know, whether that's talking to folks and just talking to them about their bigger potential. And, you know, of course, doing that through my lane of nutrition. But, you know, I think also just helping folks understand, because there's just kind of like this curtain over the world with the way that social media is, like, in building a business and those types of things.
Yeah.
And being transparent, but being also, like, successfully transparent versus, like, oh, like, we failed today. Like, it's like, I think one of the things about being a business owner that has helped me so much is like, I'm a struggling perfectionist. So being able to realize like, not everything's gonna go that way. So I just learned, and I failed and I failed and I failed so many times that it doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I want it to be a certain way and I have the standard, but the standard doesn't always mean it goes your way.
Correct.
And so like, helping folks understand that your failures are like probably one of your greatest allies. Like I'm friends with my failures, like because every time it's like a win-learn situation. I'm just gaining experience, and experience always leads you to service.
Yep.
So anytime you experience something good or bad, like you will down the road run into someone that had that same situation happen, and you start up a conversation, and it's like, oh my gosh, all of that I went through, and I thought that I was like alone, and what is the purpose? Why? And then the purpose presents itself, and I've learned like never to question that ever, even anything that happens. So like, if I can help folks, empower folks with that, whether that's through speaking or anything like that, like let's do it. Like, let's get people to stop thinking that life looks a certain way and start leaning into like their alignment and who they're meant to be, because they're going to contribute so much more to their communities when they're aligned and when they're not afraid.
Right.
You know?
That's interesting. They say 99% of the problem is just figuring out what it is you want to do. And like once you figure it out, the rest of it's kind of easy.
Yeah. Experience. You know, I mean, that's the story. Like, I wouldn't have told you that at, you know, like I said, I wouldn't have told you that at 16. And, you know, I think I'm so passionate about people getting into alignment with who they are and all of that, because I was in a place where I almost lived a completely different, comfortable life that looked good, and I got all the claps and cheers, but it was, again, it was not who I could be.
Right.
It was like a lower version of me, and it was okay and it was comfortable, but that's not what I was meant for. And that gap, I mean, like it wrecks people. The gap between who you are here and who you were meant to be and know you could be, but you're not there. That gap
Tremendous.
is huge.
Yeah.
And if we can help folks with that, I think that we can really see like lots of changes, especially in like young folks that are transitioning from like that college into adulthood. And that's where I see it the most. You know, it's like, okay, well, I'm doing this, but I don't know what the bigger picture is.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
It's crazy because me and Michael pretty much have these conversations every time we meet up at his place or out and about. It's just the last thing we want to do is be comfortable. Like, we'd rather put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to grow as a radio show, as people, as a business, whatever it may be. And we were literally talking about this yesterday. I was like, I'd rather be 90 or however old I am on my deathbed being like, yeah, I gave it my all in life and I lived a happy life, rather than on the flip side of, man, I wish I would have did this, I wish I would did that, live a life full of regret of, oh, maybe if I did switch jobs at that time, I might have ended up with a better life or ended up in a different pathway of what I really wanted, rather than living a corporate lifestyle of just climbing the ladder and trying to reach the top, but there's never a top. It's always, you're either going to be stuck on that ladder or you get off that ladder and find something else.
Right. And also, like, that ladder is meant for that entity, but you as a person is a completely different entity. You're a mountain of a person.
Right.
So, like, ladders don't even help you when you're climbing a mountain, you know? So it's like when you get into those instances, you have to realize, like, you're right. Like, you don't want to get to the end and, like, have all of those, like, dreams and things that you never brought to life, like, looking at you. Because that's what, you know, I have a phrase, I have, like, a mantra I live by, and it's called north of the ground. And it's like, every day I'm north of the ground. Like, I have an opportunity to live out my mission. And when you think about it, it's like that also makes you realize, like, the very uncomfortable conversation of, like, yo, like, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. And we don't talk about it enough and are not comfortable with it enough because we know that there's things we haven't done. But, like, life isn't loud in the middle of it. It'll start speaking up at the end, and it was like, yo, I was here the whole time. And what were you doing? And that's heavy. And that's heavy to think about. And I don't want to live like that, you know? And so, like you said, like, living uncomfortable, doing uncomfortable things that are not seen as, like, I don't know, like the comfortable path. I was like, okay, like, you're going to go and you're going to be a teacher. You're probably going to coach a sport, and that's going to be your life. That's a great life for the person who that's meant for.
Right.
But for me, oh man, it was a silent killer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's fascinating you say, because we're at a point as a brand, as a team, where we're making our thesis, not even really a thesis, but just a world build of what we want to continue to grow into as a brand. It's like making it matter, right? It's like, what is it that at our core we want to make matter to the every day we wake up, we make sure we're doing what we want to do, what we need to do to excel, pretty much. And it's like, you know, we're here going through the mic situation, we made that matter because we want to be here so bad. We want to have the opportunity to share a story with you give it to the audience, allow them to see everything you're building because it matters, right? And we want to make sure that as a group, we know you're getting better as a man, I'm getting better as a man, because that's important for us to even get to the shared point of the show. Yeah. So what do you feel, you can tell the audience, right? Like, what do you feel it matters the most when you had to sacrifice, whatever you had to sacrifice to get to the point where like, no, Jessica, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it because I just want to do it, and people need to feel this. People need to see this. People need to hear this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, now that you're here and you're seeing it, yeah. What was that thing? You're like, no, this matters most, and this is where I want to take it.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say it's a silent killer, I really meant it. You know, when I was in high school and going through college, like I struggled with my mental health significantly. And it was because I was just so concentrated on what everyone else wanted for me and what made them feel comfortable. But then I didn't realize that like I was dimming my own light. In like, if you have to dim your light to be able to be in rooms, so be it. Because you know you're really shining in here. But when you continue to just dim your light, it's gonna go out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really where I was. I mean, I just lost as a person, but looked on the outside like, oh, we had this athlete, you're gonna go play college ball, like all of these things. But I was like just going down, like I knew softball wasn't the end for me. I wasn't gonna be a professional softball player, you know, and so I'm like, but there's something more in me. There's just this heart fire that is just ignited in me, and I don't know what it is, and I know it's not this though. Mm. And if I keep going down this path, but you know what? Everyone was clapping for me when I was doing what was comfortable to them, which is well-intentioned, I think.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I say that, and I don't mean it like people bring you down in that way. It's more so like you're living based off of their limitations that they had on their own life, and then they're putting that on you, not intentionally, but you gotta be willing, like, people aren't gonna understand your mission.
Yeah.
And you know what, they're not gonna clap. And I had more hand claps for wanting to do something that was comfortable, and I was dying inside. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then you go and you do another route, and here I am now. But I'm like, okay, don't clap. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine, don't clap. That's cool with me.
No,
because
it's crazy that you say that, because like I've been seeing a lot of stuff on like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, that's kind of points in the same direction of what you're saying, is like, no one's going to clap for you during the hard times, but I guarantee you there's going to be people who clap for you and say, oh, I always believed in you, when you actually make it, when they weren't there in your corner when you needed them the most, or just any kind of little support.
Yeah. I mean, I'd just much rather build something I was passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what really changes. That's what changes the energy. That's what changes the frequency in the room. Yeah. If I was speaking to you, like the insurance thing, like I would never talk about insurance. I was talking about what I was passionate about. And that's what, like, also there are people that admire that, because they realize like that bravery, what is that saying? Like, brave is just like fear that said its prayers. And it's like, you know, that right there, giving life to something, building something that's real. Yeah. Like, you can't put a price tag on it. If you don't clap for me, I don't care, because I'm aligned. And that's a different type of alive and living than living according to some, like, I don't know, just
fixated world.
Like fixated path, you know?
Exactly.
And of course, I'm an adventurer, I'm a traveler, like, but I do it in a very different way at this point in time. Yeah. That looks like starting at the farmer's market. That looks like getting more involved in the community. That means doing a speaking engagement, you know?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, we've had a blast, you know, getting to learn more about you, learn more about your business. We definitely want to check it out. Obviously, like, Lane Bernstein had some thoughts on, like, some really great meal plans you put together, and I definitely need to check it out, because I always see you in the gym anyway, so you always tell me about, you know, obviously wanting to do these things, and I want to eat better and stuff as well. Yeah. And I do my job of doing that, but obviously we want to get to that point. So let everybody know, like, where they can follow you, where they can get your meal plans at, where they can check you out, where they can continue to watch your story, and just continue to following Jessica.
Yep, absolutely. So, as far as anything Jack Nutrition related, you can follow us on Instagram at Jacked Nutrition Lex. That's all one word. Same thing on Facebook. And then if you want to find anything personal, as far as reach out to me as a coach, I'm Jacked N, as in November, Jessica, on Instagram. So that's Jacked and Jessica, all one word. And I'd like to put some good motivation out there, a lot of stuff that we talk about today. And then I'm most present on Instagram, but I am on Facebook as well. So,
LeBarston.
Guys, come closer. Make sure you turn your sound all the way up. I checked out her website these past couple days. Some of the stuff I was telling Michael about, I was like, I would have never thought of this could even be a meal prep. And the people have been asking, people are me, will there ever be a cookbook, like a recipe cookbook? Have you ever thought about that?
there's a recipe book coming.
There we go.
Yes.
All right. Well, you heard it here first.
There you go.
Excited for that. The people are obviously excited. The
Yes,
people, again, being
the
me.
people.
Make sure to go follow my pages at LeBrinkston on Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, the Twitch. All the gaming pages are on Instagram and TikTok, LeBrinkston.gaming. Go check that out. Again, Jessica, thanks for having us here. This has been fun. It's been a blast.
Pleasure.
I've been excited ever since he told me about it, because just with my athletic, I don't even know the words for it, employment, and just working so close with dietitians and nutritionists, that I've always just been so interested with the whole idea and everything. So
Yeah.
again, thank you for having us here. It's been a blast, and we hope to do this again sometime.
For sure. Got to.
Heck yeah, let's
Got
go.
to.
Let's do a cooking show next time.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be tough. That'd be tough.
man.
That'd be tough.
But before we log off and Mike says
Yeah.
his socials, make sure to follow our guys TKD2 on all social media platforms, the Instagram, the Twitch, the YouTube, the Twitter. And Dear Siege, same thing, all those social media platforms except for Facebook. Obviously his mom's on there, so he can't be posting too much stuff on there. But shout out moms.
Shout out moms.
Michael, go ahead and wrap us up, man.
You can follow me at Dear Michael on all platforms. That'd be where all my fashions be at. And you can follow us at Dear Radio Show on all platforms as well. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, everything we're doing on the YouTube channel. There's a lot of people that's disliking it from the Brainstorm's perspective and
Yeah,
my
if
perspective
I
too.
find you,
we're
it's going to be a bad day.
Well, it's all love. It's all love. But we want to make sure that people that are watching, I think it's like 97%, I think I watch that are watching our stuff but not subscribed. So make sure you subscribe. You know, thumbs up. We need to know exactly what we need to continue to put out so that you all are enjoying the content, you're loving the content, and we're giving valuable content to you. So like, it's been a great episode. Just being able to sit here and talk and discuss with Jessica and everything we need to be doing to continue to train our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And I think, you know, she's doing a phenomenal job at that. So make sure you continue to watch her, continue to follow her, and continue to support her. So without further ado, we appreciate you all. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.